Hey guys, this is Sweet, and in today's video, you are going to get my updated Shadow Priest guide. Now, this is my third Shadow Priest guide for the season, and as the meta has been evolving, things have changed. Talents that we are picking for different comps have changed. The comps that we want to be playing have changed. So this video is going to be me giving you the rundown on those changes and what you should be doing as best practice. Now, if you do enjoy this video, please make sure that you drop a like and drop a sub, as it will help me grow this channel a lot. Let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is covenants. Covenants have not changed. Venthyr is still the best covenant by far. I'm quickly going to show you my tree and what you should be running. So Thrill Seeker is the first lock. That is the one that we are always going to be playing. Our next choice is going to be Shadow Perceptions. Shadow Perceptions increases the damage of mind games, both the initial damage and the healing and damage reversal, and it is our best conduit in my opinion. Coming down into the next one is an automatic lock, which is Agent of Chaos. Door of Shadows disorients all nearby enemies at the target location for 6 seconds when you appear. This is very counterintuitive. It is one of the worst conduit slots that exist in the game. It DRs our fear, it breaks on damage, it makes us stand there for 3 seconds and miss globals. When you use Door of Shadows to try and land fears, guys, make sure that you are landing your Door of Shadows just away from the person, outside of your Agent of Chaos ring, so that you can take a step in and then fear them. You don't want to directly be hitting healers with Agent of Chaos when you're trying to CC them. However, if you're trying to stop a go or trying to stop your teammate from dying, it's fine to land on the DPS. It's probably going to be better to do so. Moving down into our finesse conduit, so Clear Minds, Dispel Magic, Purify, and Master Spell cost 30% less mana. This is critical. When you get locked out on Shadow, the only things that you're going to be able to do are Power Word Shield, Master Spell, and Dispel. So for the most part, you're going to be spamming Master Spell. Dispel Magic. You're going to be spamming Dispel Magic, not Master Spell. Dispel Magic has very high value in Arena, especially against targets that have Misery up, Combust up, Divine Favor, Rapture Shields. There's a whole bunch of things that add a lot of value to Dispel Magic. So it is always a good spell to be throwing out. And as we talk about Legendaries soon, which is going to be Cephas's Proclamation, this has very good synergy with Cephas's because you need to be dispelling. The next slot is Friends in Low Places. This is pretty crap. It doesn't do a whole lot, to be honest. It's just a PvE thing, and I don't think even PvEers really understand what it is. Coming down into our endurance slot, we will be playing Light's Inspiration. Desperate Heal heals you for an additional 7.8% of your maximum health over 5 seconds. Desperate Prayer, I think the numbers look big on Desperate Prayer. Increases your maximum health by 25% for 10 seconds and heals you for that amount. If you have 40k HP, it's gonna increase your health by 10k and it's gonna heal you by 10k. So that's not a bad thing. It's decent, but then once you factor in dampening, once you factor in Mortal Strike, that heal ends up being about 3000, which is essentially a white hit from a paladin. So using this conduit makes one of our defensives a little bit stronger. 7.8% of your maximum health is not too bad. So it takes that heal from 10% to 10k to, oh god, don't make me do maths, please. Don't make me do maths. You get the idea. Coming down into our left, we always want to be taking our 2 potency conduits. Now the question was raised to me the other day, if Agent of Chaos is so bad, why do we not just go to the endurance conduit side? Well, having the 2 potency conduits, Shattered Perception and Dissonant Echoes, is very important. They are so important for our damage. They must be taken, and we just have to play around the fact that Dissonant Echo, that Agent of Chaos is very counterintuitive to our play. And as of next week, we will be able to lock in familiar predicaments. The duration of incoming interrupts, snare, and root effects are reduced by 25%. This is going to be massive for Shadow. This is going to be massive for Disc. It's massive for Priest all over. So that is going to be Covenants and Conduits. Let's move on to our next topic. Next up, we are going to be talking about Legendaries, and as the meta has evolved, I've had the chance to test things. Other people have had the chance to test things. Originally, I thought Talbot's Stratagem would be a very strong choice for Shadow. It is not a very strong choice for Shadow. It's not good. You're rarely casting any Mind Blasts. It's pretty crap. Cephas's Proclamation is the hands down best Shadow Legendary. It is not that good, but in all honesty, most of our Legendaries are not that good. Besides Cephas's Proclamation, the next best choice is going to be Twins of the Sun Priestess. Now, I recommend playing Twins of the Sun Priestess when you're playing against comps that don't have the spells. For example, a TSG, a Warrior, a Death Knight, and a Paladin. It is very strong and there's a lot of value against comps. What's comp stand for? Against comps like that. But overall, Cephas's Proclamation is going to be the strongest choice, as it will have a use in every single game that you play. So the consistency on Cephas's is very high and it is a great choice. So yes, Cephas's is the best. Twins of the Sun Priestess is going to be the second best Legendary if the other team has no dispels. If they have dispels or more than one dispel, the value drops off a lot. Lock in Cephas's. Next up, we are going to be talking about PvP talents. Our main tree has not changed. This will generally stay the same for every 3v3 match. The only thing that I would say about this is that sometimes when you're playing with a warrior or a rogue, you may like to take Mind Bomb over Psychic Horror, but this is completely optional. At the start of the season, we were tossing up, is Ancient Madness going to be the best? Is Hungering Void going to be the best? Ancient Madness is awful. So when I say awful, it's not that bad. It's okay. It just does not compare to Hungering Void. Hungering Void will keep our Void form up for longer, which allows us to keep 20% extra spell power for longer. This can't be competed with. And I would say if these last 4 lines of Hungering Void, where when you cast Void Bolt, it extends the duration of Void form by 1 second, was added to Ancient Madness, I would say Ancient Madness would be competitive. However, in the current state, Hungering Void is way better. PvP talents are where things get interesting. The PvP talents that we were locking in at the start of the season are no longer automatic lock-ins, and they do change around a little bit now. What you are seeing right here is what I would play against Cleaves, which is the majority of the meta. So that would be like Warrior Ret or Windwalker Warrior or Warrior DK, just anything like that where damage is consistent, but immediate swaps aren't needed. As Holy Pallies are the meta, Void Shift is not as needed when playing with Holy Paladins. Now, a talent that has become very popular very recently is Driven to Madness. While Void form is not active, being attacked will reduce the cooldown of Void Eruption by 3 seconds. Now, the internal cooldown on Driven to Madness is very low. I think it is about 1 second, which means that we can get our Void Eruption down to about 20 seconds, which greatly increases the value of Void Origins. So these are generally the talents that I will be playing against most melee cleaves. If the only time I'll change this is when I am versing casters, when I know I can get Void Origins off uninterrupted, in which case I will take Lasting Plague. Okay, so this is what I would play against a melee cleave, and for a caster cleave, swap Void Origins out for Lasting Plague. Now, the only time that I generally take Void Swap is when I am versing an RMP, and I will swap out Void Origins for it. Even though RMP has, you know, the 2 kicks, one of them is a longer cooldown, and damage is not really the thing here against RMP, okay? It's stopping their goes and killing them. They're quite weak once you actually catch them. So, Guys, if you have not been playing Driven to Madness, I highly suggest that you start playing with it. The other thing as well is when you are swapping between comps that you play Void Shift and comps that you do play it, you need to be telling your healer whether you are playing Void Shift or not. Start of the game, no swap, or I have swap. Very simple. Try Driven to Madness. It is sick. The other thing and the only amendment I want to make from my last video is the Damnation and Void Torrent debacle. Now, Void Torrent is still really, really good if you can get the cast off, but I've found a lot more consistency with Damnation, and as you know, I'm all about that consistency. So Damnation is generally the auto lock-in for 3s. However, for 2s, Void Torrent away. Shit bangs. Next up, we are going to talk about stat priority. Stat priority has changed a little bit since the start of the season. At the start of the season, we were swaying to haste and versatility kind of being about the same value. Versatility now has more value than haste, followed by haste, then followed by mastery, and then followed by crit. So versatility has become so important due to the 2-set bonus from our trinket, where the damage and healing benefit of versatility is increased by 40% when in arenas, battlegrounds, and war modes. As everyone is stacking versatility right now and people's damage is super insane, you cannot be the only person in the game who sacrifices versatility for haste. As you'll see here, my haste is about 16%. I have a few pieces that aren't optimized, but ideally what you'd be looking for is around 18 to 20% haste with 27 to 30% versatility. As we know, there has been a stat squish with stats, so anything after 25% has a penalty. However, that penalty is quite small, and you won't really see any issues with this until versatility is around 40%, which will not happen in this season. This is likely to happen in the next season, and by next season, we will see these diminishing returns on secondary stats become more of a thing that we need to worry about. If you haven't got yourself up to speed on what those diminishing returns are, check my channel. I have a video on it. I go through everything that you need to know about diminishing returns on secondary stats. Next up, I am going to be running you through our best comps. What I'll be doing here is putting things into a tier list and telling you the comps that those classes might work with. I'm not sure if this is even the best way to be doing this, but let's get cracking. All right, so we're going to classify these into 1 of 5 categories: best, better, meh, trash, not tried yet. I didn't make these categories, but whatevs. Let's get started. First up, we have the Affliction Warlock. Aff Warlock in shadow play with a Holy Paladin is one of our better comps right now. This comp does have some weaknesses, and that being Aff is not great right now. While it does pump out a whole lot of damage against classes with the spell that can dispel their misery, it makes this comp quite weak. So it is a good comp. It has its place. It is very good. It is one of our best comps, but it is not the best comp. So yeah. Up next, we're going to have a Arcane Mage. So Arcane Mage is kind of trash right now. There's not a whole lot of depth to the class. It is pretty averagio. Our best comp, in my opinion, is going to be with an Arms Warrior. Arms Warriors have so much utility. They have MS. They stick on targets. They slow them. They stun them. Arms Warrior, Shadow Priest, and Holy Pally are going to be our best comps, in my opinion. Up next, one of the better comps is going to be Shadow Priest Boomy, Holy Paladin, or Resto Shaman. They synergize well together. Depending on the spec of the Boomkin, if they're a Kyrian Boomkin, you'll have more consistent goes. Every minute you'll be able to go with a Kyrian Boomkin. With a Night Fae Boomkin, you'll kind of be planning your game around Convoke. Completely up to you. One of the better comps. I personally do not enjoy this comp. I don't find it very fun to play, but it does work well if you can pull it off. Destruction Warlock. So while this is currently a meh, Destruction Warlocks are on the rise. as haste levels go up and versatility levels go up, and warlocks start to transition back to Destro again, which always happens in the later parts of expansions, Destro will become very strong. I can see Destro Shadow Priest becoming a high rated tier comp to come, but for right now it is a little bit average. Holy Paladin is always going to be our best healer no matter what comp we play. They are just the best healer. That is it. Resto Shams are one of the better healers, so if you cannot find a Holy Paladin, you can get away with using a Resto Sham. Resto Shams are really strong, however they're quite underrepresented in leaderboards, so that would say that the higher level pros understand that Holy Paladin just has so much utility, and even after the nerf they are still the best healer. You want to avoid playing with a Disc Priest as much as possible. The only times that I would be playing with a Disc Priest is if you were playing a Shadow Play. You could add a Disc in there, because adding that Unstable Affliction with 2 Mind Games makes it a super powerful comp. Outside of that, I would not really suggest playing with a Disc Priest, as a lot of our games come down to mana. Disc Priest is usually always going to lose that mana battle. One of the better comps is going to be God Comp, which is a Fire Mage, Shadow Priest, and ideally a Holy Pally. There is so much potential for this. As people aren't hitting mages right now, people realize there's not a whole lot of value in chasing a mage around. They're going to be on you all the time. So as I spoke about before with our Driven to Madness talent, while the mage is farming up his combusts with fireballs, you are just farming up your void form with Driven to Madness. So there's a lot of value in playing with fire mages. Another one of the better comps is going to be Elisham, Shadow Priest, Holy Paladin. Quite a good comp, lots of burst. Your CCs are on different DRs, which is nice. Just a really good comp overall. What you can also play is a Ret Pally, Holy Pally, and Shadow Priest. You would have your Holy Pally playing Repentance. Your Ret Pally is able to get Hodges, so that your Holy Pally can repent. There's a whole lot of burst. The only issue with this is the lack of the Mortal Strike effect. The question raises, is it worth playing Psyfiend in a Holy Pally Ret Pally combo? The answer is no. It is not going to be very valuable. And then of course the final one, which I will get asked about, is it meh? Is it trash? It's trash. I'd say it's pretty trash. Shadow Priest, double Shadow Priest in 3s can work if both Shadow Priests are amazing. That is assuming that you guys are running different CC talents. One of you might be running Mind Bomb, the other one might be running Stun. You could stun to Mind Bomb. However, I just don't see this being a very good comp. And finally, just double checking. Yep. So one of the better comps is going to be a Windwalker. Keep in mind these aren't in order. None of these are in order. Windwalkers are very strong. One of our A tier or better tier comps. So Windwalker, Shadow Priest, Holy Paladin, or Resto Sham, they all work just fine. You can really play any of these comps and you can really play them well. All you need to do is a little bit of practice. If you are playing any of these comps, some of them do require a whole lot of setup. So I would suggest not getting too angry, not leaving after the first game, not being toxic. You do need to learn these comps before you can play them. And the last thing I will mention is a Druid. Druids are very meh right now. Unfortunately, Druids haven't had a whole lot of love, and it's unfortunate. I wish Druids were better. God comp with a Druid would be a whole lot of fun if Druids were viable. So that is going to be our comps list. The standout comp obviously is going to be Warrior, Holy Paladin, Shadow Priest. Really good comp to play, lots of fun, and the highest representations of Shadow Priest are generally playing with Warriors. So those will be our comps for our comp list. And for the final part of this video, I'm going to be giving you some great resources to check out on the internet. Some Twitch channels of people who I know who are very helpful or very good. Some of those names would be WizK, Starp SP, and Boney Wow and Snutsy. I will include the links in the bottom. WizK is the highest rated Shadow Priest in the world, second place in BlizzCon. Starp SP is a rank 1 Shadow Priest. He makes some really great content. And Boney is a EU Shadow Priest. He makes a lot of funny videos, but he also sets a lot of trends for Shadow Priest, and he's unbelievable. Snutswall is maining Shadow Priest, tends to play other classes, but if you can catch him on Shadow Priest, he is absolutely great to watch. So I really suggest checking out those guys on Twitch, and I've included their things in the bottom. So as you may have noticed, this was not a complete guide. This was more so an amendment to a guide that I made previously that got quite a lot of traction. So if you do want to check out that guide, feel free to have a look through my channel. I have a bunch of guides for Shadow Priest, Disc. I've got some guides on how to get your first 2400, so on and so forth. Once again, if you did enjoy this content, please drop me a like and a sub, as it will help out a lot. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this video and enjoy Driven to Madness. It is sick